Hello everyone. Today we are going to be talking about Joshua chapters 1 to 12, and this will be just our part 1 video about Joshua. So Joshua chapters 1 to 5 is where Joshua leads Israel. So Joshua starts off after Moses' death and Joshua becomes the new leader. The author made it seem like Joshua is a new Moses, the new leader of Israel that was just like Moses. But he calls the people to obey the command of the Torah. So these are the commands that they were given at Mount Sinai. Then he sent spies into the promised land, and one of the Canaanites was following God, and she helped the spies, and her name was Rahab. She didn't want to die from this, so she's like, I am also a true believer, and I don't want to die from this, basically. And then Joshua leads all the Israelites across the Jordan River into the promised land.
Just like the river split in half for Moses, it also happened for Joshua. The priest carried the Ark of the Covenant across the river, leading the Israelites. In chapter 5, Joshua finds this mysterious warrior who is from God. Joshua asks him, "Are you from us, or are you for our enemies?" And the warrior answers, saying, "Neither." Here we can see that this God's battle and his plan, not the Israelites.
So chapter 6 to 12 is where we see the battles with the Canaanites. So their first two battles were against Jericho and Ai. Ai is basically a place, I guess. And when they versed Jericho, they had God's faithfulness, but when they versed Ai, they saw their failure. They didn't put their trust in God and just went in for the second match. So when they were fighting Jericho, they circled Jericho for 6 days with art singing music until it collapsed on the seventh day after they blew the trumpets. And when they versed Ai, this is where Achan, Israelites, stole from Jericho and lied about it. So when they versed Ai, they didn't have God's faithfulness, and they weren't being devoted to God, but they were when they were versing Jericho. And then this Israelite person, Achan, stole from Jericho and lied about it, and he hid it somewhere in the sands near the tents, and God obviously knew about it, and Joshua found out about it, and then they lost the war after going to the battle because of the sin that this one person has done. So this is what happened from Achan.
From these two battles, we can see that in order to win, you must have God's obedience. The Israel were going to verse the Gibeonites, but instead they started following God and peace with Israel. All the other kings form an
alliance wanting to destroy Israelites. So they were all grouping up with each other, wanting to destroy them, because Israelite was becoming a really huge threat to them, because they were knocking down all these other big competitors of theirs. So, and then chapter 12, we see all the victories that have happened so far. So from this we can learn that you must have God's obedience, and you mustn't lie about it. So, for example, we can see Achan stealing from Jericho and then hiding it and then lying about it. So have God's faithfulness and obedience, and always obey God's word. So this is just our part 1 video, and our next video will be about part 2. Thank you guys for watching.